Let's do this one.
David the Remit. Once again, we're going to be taking a look at the TOs and one of their new arguments. And I say new because it's new to me as far as I'm concerned. Now, the primary argument and why we are heretics, according to the fake Orthodox, is we broke canons. We're breaking canons. We break XYZ canons, and that's why we are.
No, it's actually because you're communing with heretics and sometimes adopting their positions. But okay, yeah, you can straw man it this way.
Heretics. That was the argument that I personally heard from many Suaidan fanboys, from many different fake Orthodox. And then I watched the
All right, fanboys, back me up here. Back me up, fanboys. All the fanboys in the chat, in the house. So ridiculous.
reply stream from Suaidan. I didn't feel the need to reply to it. I even made a poll on Twitter. Most people said don't reply to it, so I just moved on. But new
But he's doing it anyway.
Information came up as I was researching about church history, and I would like to present them and show you how they also prove that that fake orthodoxy is indeed fake and not authentic orthodoxy. So we're going to be taking first of all, let's take a look at the argument actually. So the communion line argument. This is
I want to make sure that this is on 125 because this is
a new argument. So from the stream, their argument changed from, well, I'm not certain if the argument really changed from Suaidan, but the argument in the stream is basically this: if you preach heresy bareheaded, and if you're not condemned, then those that are not condemning him, those that are in communion with these people, they're heretics. So to simplify,
well, to be clear, what he's mumbling on about is Canon 15 of the First Second Council, which says that you're still supposed to flee a heretic even if he hasn't been conciliarly condemned.
By it, let's say you have Bishop A and he's a heretic, and you have Bishop B who's in communion, who doesn't believe in what Bishop A says, but is still in communion with Bishop A. Well, Bishop B then is a heretic, and anyone that's in communion with Bishop B as a result, or anyone that's in communion with Bishop C and the image, or so on and so forth, everyone in that line is a heretic. One person is enough to turn everyone in that line a heretic. This is why, again, you have so many different fake Orthodox groups, because they think, oh, you're a heretic, and they're not in communion with each other. This is why they're so disunited. There's such a disunity in this world.
This is a stupid argument. And I'm going to just say that right now.
He hasn't read it either. He hasn't read Canon 15.
Yeah, not only has he not read Canon 15, he's ignoring all of church history, I guess, with his little stick figures here. But the reality is that when Arius preached heresy, nobody in the church willingly stayed in communion with him. When Nestorius preached heresy, nobody in the church willingly stayed in communion with him. Until this is clear, that there's no such thing as this magical communion line. Because here's what he's trying to pretend. What he's trying to pretend is that you have heretic A here, who's a heretic, definitely bad. Then you have heretic B, a guy here who's not a heretic, but still recognizes the heretic. Not really sure how that works, but okay. And then he's in communion with totally Orthodox guys. Here's the problem. In reality, this guy's a heretic. This guy is usually also a heretic, but not as loud. And these guys are usually also heretics as well. They're just better at hiding it, but not even trying that hard.
Well, you can also be co-laborers in that heresy.
Exactly.
And complicit in that heresy.
Exactly. And so, but the whole point is, with the heresy of ecumenism, it is so widespread that this argument is stupid. But let's continue.
So is this orthodox? Is this true doctrine? No, it's not. It's not a correct Orthodox interpretation of how canons work. And we're going to show you with historical evidence. So the first one is going to be about post-Ephesus. Many students of Theodoret of Mopsuestia, after the Council of Ephesus and after the reunion of Alexandria and Antioch, which they were not in communion until 433, after the union, after John of Antioch accepted the council, accepted what St. Cyril says, pretty much, not all of it, but pretty much accepted most of the things he said. Many people in that community, they were still preaching double subject in Christ. They were still preaching Nestorianism. Theodoret of Cyrus, in fact, was arguing that Nestorius should not have been condemned, that he should not have been deposed, and he should be reinstated. So the Council of Ephesus says he's excommunicated, and there's not a double subject in Christ. The Christ is one. in spite of the Council of Ephesus saying all of this, years later, what do you get? Well, you still get people doubting it. You still get people bareheaded, openly preaching against the council, just like the Council of Nicaea with Eusebius of Nicomedia. But I'm not going to go too much into the detail with that. So that itself, now, if you take a look at the bishops, well, Bishop Theodoret of Syria and many of the people who had the same Nestorian idea, they were still in communion with John of Antioch, and John of Antioch was in communion with Saint Cyril, and they were in communion with the rest of the Orthodox world. So by that logic, the entire church.
He's also factually wrong on the Nestorian controversy. No, people were not actually exercising open communion with Nestorius on the part of Saint Cyril. Saint Cyril was accepting in people who had refused communion with Nestorius. This was covered in the Third Ecumenical Council, and this all took place within 2 years. So his entire stupid argument is false.
Was in heresy. So where were the true Orthodox that were saving us? Unless you want to become a Baptist and use the trail of blood argument that Baptists use, well, you can't really convince.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
So the church wasn't in heresy, so this historical event vindicates real, authentic Orthodoxy. Another event that the reply stream talked about was St. Gregory the Elder. Now, St. Gregory the Elder, they mentioned St. Gregory the Elder, but they seem to have missed the point that I was trying to make. St. Gregory the Elder, after the Council of Nicaea, was preaching semi-Arianism. It doesn't matter if it's semi-Arianism or it's full-on Arianism. Both are condemned positions.
There's no such thing as semi-Arianism.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, in the other David Erhan live stream review we covered Gregory the Elder. This is, I'm gonna stop this video here. There's 4 more minutes. Let's just finish.
Okay.
Cope with the Council of Nicaea, and these people knowingly did that. So Saint Gregory the Elder, he professed semi-Arianism for 3 years, bareheaded, and the church vindicates him.
We've addressed this.
And his son, Saint Gregory, his son defended him, and the monks. There are several monks that excommunicated.
Defended him on the basis that he was being misunderstood and misled.
Schism from him. So let's take a look at this. So the monks are obviously doing what the TOs are doing. They're obviously doing what the fake Orthodox will have done. They'll say, "Oh, you're preaching heresy bareheaded. Got to protect my communion, bro."
In actual fact, Gregory the Elder ended up repenting, and through the intercessions of Saint Cyril, and the monks then accepted him back. This is stupid.
But his sons defended him. So who's right here, the sons or the monks? Well,
one son, not multiple sons.
Either way, actually, the monks are still in communion with those that are in communion with him. So either way, the history still vindicates us. Another example is Pope Saint Liberius.
If you read the history, you might actually learn something, dude.
Yeah, instead of maybe reading like a history book about it, like maybe read the fathers themselves.
Protestant history book.
Yeah, that's what we're getting so far.
He's regurgitating academics. So.
Yeah.
Publicly bareheaded. So we're fitting all of the criteria that the TOs want us to fulfill. He was in charge of many local councils. Some of them arguably were semi-Arian councils. And in spite of that, he was still a pope. Right? And he recanted both St. Gregory and St. Liberius. They both recanted from their positions. Ironically, the Roman Catholic Church.
Huh?
By the way, his cartoon there with the man with the hat, it's not true Orthodoxy. He doesn't have a beard.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. This is just showing off David Erhan couldn't.
I know what it is.
I don't know what this is.
The kids call it cringe.
Church doesn't recognize Saint Liberius, but the point I'm trying to make here ultimately with this video is that you have all of these historical events that vindicates our church, and it shows that your church is not correct in schisming. Because of the calendar issue or from Sergianism.
If there's one thing I will say that upsets me more than anything else, and I know there are people who disagree with me on this, it is the recent transformation of schism from a noun into a verb.
In which 100 years ago, there was a worse form of Sergianism, 200 years ago. And now I know the typical TO response to this. They will use the First, Second Council, Canon 15. Well, here's the problem. The rules of that canon didn't apply during that council. You have to admit that canon was always true, even before that council. If you say that...
Of course it was always true. The very controversy you're talking about produced the conciliar basis for Canon 15 400 years later.
canon, the truth of that canon was created in that council, then you have a totally screwed up epistemology, a totally screwed up ecclesiology. For example, you have dogmas, you have canons regarding the divinity of Christ. Well, that was always a canon. That was always dogma. It wasn't created in a council. Similarly,
You're not saying anything. He's not saying anything.
He's
There's not an actual.
he's just throwing words out.
Putting words there. There's words.
that was also always true. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that even in your interpretation, which is a wrong interpretation, but in your interpretation of Canon 15 of the First, Second Council, it applied before the council itself. So it doesn't really matter if it was before or after. But either way, we check church history, examples of church history.
Words, stick figures.
Well, he does realize he does realize councils confirm what has already been happening throughout the church from the beginning.
I don't know that he does realize that. I know that he believes in councils and canons and things and
an alphabet soup, but yeah.
It's the right of personal revisionism.
It's insane. This is insane.
In many cases, many instances, and there are many more instances that they rejected, by the way, many more instances that vindicates
like what?
the authentic Orthodox Church.
Like what?
So the point that I'm trying to make here is that you can't look at these examples, you can't look at church history and still be a fake Orthodox. It's difficult to remain as such. So thank you all for watching. Stay away from fake Orthodoxy for the sake of your soul.
Yeah.
God bless you all.
Stay away from David Erhan for the sake of your soul. Anyway, let's take a look here. Some comments. The video looks like it was made on a Nintendo DS sketchboard. You're probably right.
That's a Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, Game Boy Advance. He's a genius.